Oh my God! Oh, he's looking for him! He's looking for him! Keep back! Oh God!
Stop everything and look at what's happening in the heart of Chicago right now. This isn't a movie set. It's a total street takeover that's completely spiraling out of control. You need to see how this ends.
They just fucking... They finna start blowing that bitch. What's up? Oh! Oh, what's up? What's up? They might blow that bitch. Oh God, that's niggas too? Oh God.
Did you catch the sheer scale of that crowd? Look at the guy in the background just weaving through the chaos like it's a normal Tuesday. This is what they're calling a teen takeover, and the energy is absolutely electric, but incredibly tense. You can hear the sirens and the shouting, but notice how the police are just trying to maintain a perimeter rather than moving in. It's a massive logistical nightmare for the city. If you look closely at the shop windows, you can see people inside just watching, probably wondering if they should lock the doors or just wait it out. It really makes you think about the breakdown of order in these major hubs. People are treating the downtown streets like a personal playground, and the risk of something going sideways is through the roof. It's wild to see this level of coordination among hundreds of kids just descending on one block all at once.
Today, we, the International Olympic Committee, have published a policy on the protection of the female category. I understand that this is a very sensitive topic. As a former athlete, I passionately believe in the rights of all Olympians to take part in fair competition. The policy that we have announced is based on science, and it has been led by medical experts with the best interests of athletes at its heart. The scientific evidence is very clear. Male chromosomes give performance advantages in sports that rely on strength, power, or endurance. At the Olympic Games, even the smallest margins can be the difference between victory and defeat. So it's absolutely clear that it would not be fair for biological males to compete in the female category. In addition, in some sports, it would simply not be safe. Every athlete must be treated with dignity and respect, and athletes will only need to be screened once in their lifetime. There must be clear education around the process, with counseling available alongside expert medical.
This is a massive shift in the sports world that almost nobody is talking about yet. The IOC just dropped a bombshell policy about protecting the female category, and the language they're using is incredibly specific. Notice how she mentions science and medical experts leading the charge. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a global standard being set for the highest level of competition. They're specifically pointing out that male chromosomes provide performance advantages that can't be ignored in sports involving power or endurance. Look at the data they're referencing. Even the tiniest margins can change who gets the gold. It's fascinating to see an organization this large take such a definitive stance after years of being in the middle of the debate. They're basically saying that at the elite level, biological reality has to take priority over everything else to keep the playing field fair. This is going to ripple through every high school and college program soon.
And to all of the residents who participated in our snowplow naming contest, keep speaking up in every way and any way that you can. I look forward to meeting with the Chicagoans who submitted the winning names, and I look forward to seeing our city's pride, our spirit, and even, yes, our humor represent us again next year. And so with that, take a moment to, I guess, take in all that you all have been waiting for. This moment is finally here. The snowplow with the most votes, most entries, Abolish ICE. Thank you very much.
Okay, look at the timing of this unveiling. This is Mayor Brandon Johnson showing off a snowplow named Abolish ICE. Now, think about the optics here. While the city is dealing with those massive street takeovers we just saw, the administration is focusing on naming heavy machinery after political slogans. It's a bold move, to say the least. Notice the crowd's reaction in the background. It's a mix of cheers and some very confused looks. This happened just days after some major local tragedies involving undocumented individuals, so the Abolish ICE branding is hitting like a ton of bricks for a lot of residents. It shows a very specific ideological path the city is taking, even when the crime stats are doing what they're doing. You have to wonder if this is the kind of leadership people were expecting when they hit the polls. It's almost like the city is trying to send a signal to the federal government using a snowplow as a billboard. We're back on the ground in Chicago, and the perspective here is even more intense. Look at the way the crowd moves as one unit. It's like a wave. You can see kids jumping on cars and blocking the intersections completely. Imagine being a driver stuck in the middle of that. You're totally trapped. This footage highlights the zero control aspect of these events. The city's curfew was supposed to stop this, but clearly the message isn't getting through. Look at the phone screens everywhere. Everyone is recording, trying to get that one viral clip, which only fuels the fire to keep the chaos going. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of social media clout. You can see the frustration in the few visible security guards who are just standing there, completely outnumbered. This isn't just a one-time thing. It's becoming a recurring feature of the city's weekends, and the residents are clearly reaching their breaking point.
Mr. Pritzker, can you talk about the distinction the governor makes between illegal and legal immigrants? Is there a difference? Are illegal immigrants more of a problem?
Well, the term undocumented immigrants is the appropriate term here. Mm-hmm. And the fact is that we're not going to send 11 or 12 million people outside the United States. That shouldn't be done.
Right here, you're seeing a masterclass in political semantics. Governor Pritzker is being pushed on the difference between illegal and undocumented, and he's not budging. Notice how he frames the entire issue around the sheer number of people, 11 or 12 million, saying it's impossible to move them. It's a pragmatic argument, but it avoids the core legal question the interviewer is asking. This back and forth is exactly why the country is so divided on immigration. One side sees the law as black and white, while the other sees a humanitarian crisis that's too big to fix with traditional enforcement. If you watch his body language, he's very firm on the terminology. He knows that the words used to describe people change how the public perceives the entire policy. It's a subtle but powerful way to shift the narrative from a legal violation to a logistical challenge. It's fascinating to see how the language used in these press conferences eventually becomes the law of the land.
You tell me. Do we want a rogue police force roaming our city streets, throwing people to the ground, shooting people willy-nilly, and killing people, not just on the streets, but in the detention centers? Do you think the American public wants that? I don't think so. I think the American public, if we're going to have ICE agents on our streets, in our cities, taking down the doors and not bothering with the constitutional requirements, I don't think the American public wants that. And I think they rightfully fear ICE. You go to people in those airports, they're looking at ICE and they're going, whoa, 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 what's this all about? They fear this police force. If we're going to have the largest national police force, ICE agencies, they must be well trained. And if they're going to be under the direct supervision of the president.
Listen to the intensity in this clip. This speaker isn't holding back, calling out what they describe as a rogue police force. This is the peak of the anti-ICE rhetoric that's currently fueling these lawsuits in states like Michigan and Maryland. The argument being made is that the federal government is overstepping its bounds and ignoring constitutional rights. Look at the passion there. This is someone who truly believes that the current enforcement tactics are a threat to public safety. It's a stark contrast to the people demanding more security after the Chicago street takeovers. We're seeing two completely different versions of safety being debated at the exact same time. On one side, people want the feds to step in and restore order. On the other, you have leaders fighting to keep the feds out of their backyards entirely. It's a massive tug of war for control over the city's streets, and neither side seems willing to compromise even an inch. That's the real state of the streets right now. What do you think? Is order returning, or is this just the beginning? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it.